Hello, everyone. Today is December 13th, and 2 days ago I asked you guys a question. Should the US fund other countries' trans hormones? And out of 21 votes, 90% of you guys said no. Now, I wasn't being silly when I asked this question. I know plenty of times I'm just being silly and ask some strange, weird questions, but this was really interesting because around that time when I asked this question, I had just learned that the US aid was also paying for free trans hormones. Obviously, this was the first time I've heard of it, and I remember when US aid was pulled from my country, I remember everyone was talking about the HIV clinics. I did not hear anyone utter anything about trans stuff. Maybe I missed it. Obviously, I did because when you search the right things, it'll pop up. But still, most people did not talk about it. They spoke about cutting these free trans hormones for other countries, but obviously, this was the first time I'm hearing that they were funding free hormones for my country. And obviously, this was being distributed in the HIV clinics, which were cut by US aid funding. And, you know, growing up, I remember countless times searching how much does it cost to transition in my country? And I would be astounded by the prices, but still, obviously, I never came across anything about free free hormones. Never came across that. Um, Maybe this is a relatively new thing, or maybe I never searched the right stuff before, but that was like what, 2016, 2015, 17, around those years, and I never came across this. So maybe this is relatively new. Regardless of that, I do think it's unfair that the US taxpayers have to pay for other countries' trans hormones. And the thing is that, yes, in my country, there aren't many places where you can get the hormones. I'm aware of that. I know how hard it is. But at the same time, I think it's unfair that the US government has to pay for all of this stuff, but our government just sits in the sidelines not doing a thing. Our government, we have a lot of corruption. The biggest word growing up I learned from the news was corruption. Every time. Why something happened, why something was stolen. Corruption, corruption, corruption. Same old excuse. Okay? It's really disappointing that we can't really grow as a country because we're always held back. And yeah, corruption is just a heavy, heavy, heavy storm in this country. Okay, so a few years ago, I remember, I think it was, well, definitely it was the sports minister that suggested buying a foreign soccer team for this country, and they would really like pay for it with 1 billion rands, which isn't that much in dollars, but it's a lot in this country. And looking back, obviously that deal never happened, but still, the fact that they could suggest something for leisure, but at the same time, and they have to rely on other countries to fund us. It's ridiculous for most things, really. It's like the government, obviously I don't want the government doing everything, but it's like for some of these things like HIV research, we have a lot of money to fund that. Obviously, we have a lot of resources to do that, but still, it's no, we can't do that. It's always corruption. The money gets stolen. You know, everything has to be taken away, and it's like, okay, but U.S. aid was paying for the HIV research for decades. Why couldn't this government, my government, just continue paying it off? Why is it such a controversial thing for the US just to cut the funding off? And it's like, I get it, we're a developing country, but still, a lot of the money is stolen by the government. A lot of the taxpayers' money are stolen. Okay, crime is really large in this country, and you also get crime committed by the government. And you know, it's just unfortunate that this is happening. Now, okay, so what should be the solution, really? I know that already so many people were taking these free hormones, but what can they do now? Really, it's a sad scene to see, but at the end of the day, it's like the U.S. has to just not fund everything, you know. And anyways, that's it for today's video. I know it's a bit more of a depressing one. It matches the clouds outside, but still, what do you guys think? Oh, let me read some comments. I received 2 comments on my YouTube poll, and well, the first one I received was weird. Why you even LGBT? Rights LGBT is called Change My Mind. I don't even know how to really respond to that comment because it's just all over broken. But still, we have this other comment from 15 hours ago. We should fund next to nothing for other countries, certainly not luxuries, like elective hormone replacements. Most of what we do send as aid gets scalped by our own politicians and the authorities in the nation we send it to as it is. Only like 5% makes it to the people it's intended to help. Yeah, that's the thing with many countries too. It's like you guys will send a bunch of aid, but then it's just spent on other useless things. And it's like, how is this even possible? You know, how can we be a running country if we keep getting funding, only funding from the US? It's not like we are just completely like Stone Age folk. No, no. I get it. Certain places, certain influence structure isn't perfect, but it's getting there. Certain places are getting more developed. I mean, obviously, yes, we have a poverty issue, but still, you know, the government is holding these people back, which is so disappointing, you know. Um, anyways, I'm not going to open more on that can of worms on governments and stuff like that and go on about this stuff. I'm just going to stop it there. I think it's unfair that the US has to pay for free trans hormones. Okay. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.